Hey everyone, welcome to Bear Insider Ultimate Insider. I'm Mike Pawlawski. Today we are kicking off the 2024 season, and it's Bears versus UC Davis Aggies. Now, interesting point of view for this game is that it is the first game for the Cal Bears as a member of the ACC, the Atlantic Coast Conference. And so a whole new era in Cal sports, being a member of a conference on the opposite coast. And so travel will be an experiment this year. Coming in against the Aggies, they have a coach that they know very well, Tim Plow, who is an alum of UC Davis, former quarterback there as well, former coach there, was a tight ends coach for the Bears last year. So interesting storyline there as well. The Aggies have a very good running back in Larson, who is voted the Big Sky Player of the Year, Offensive Player of the Year preseason. And he was the Big Sky Offensive Player of the Year last year with just 8 games, I believe. Rushed for over 1,000 yards. So a talented back, really good player. Number 3, Land Larson. You're going to see him, very good football player. Very good ground game there. Tim Plow coaching quarterbacks, runs that spread style system, very similar to what the Bears do. And an interesting note there that the Bears had to go back and review film from his last coordinator spot, which was up at Boise State in 2021. So you're going to see a lot of similarities between the two offenses. I think that for a while, Tim Plow was very integral in calling plays at Cal while he was there. And so a big piece of that Cal offense, he understands the Bears. He knows how to attack them, where to attack them. He knows the personnel very well as well, which gives UC Davis an edge in that department. Bears not as familiar with the Aggies. Get to study last year's film, but again, different systems, different coaches, changes things up. The Aggies also have an experienced quarterback in Miles Hastings. He's a guy who's been playing for quite a while. He's been around the game. Tim Plow has been quoted as liking him very much, and so skilled at that position as well. Quarterback, running back, makes good things happen there for the Aggies on offense. Defense, they expect to see the same system. Going to see a lot of cover 3, a little bit of man, a little bit of switch-up zone and blitz look from the Aggies. The Bears are going to have to be able to handle that, and I think they do it by running the football. Obviously, Jay Knott is the feature weapon for the Bears this year, and so Mike Blesh, being an offensive coordinator, being an offensive line coach, loves running the football, and so he will do that with Jay Knott as the number 1 guy up front. Obviously, Jaden coming into the season, preseason, all ACC first team pick, a guy who has all kinds of awards and accolades coming his way preseason, who was shown last year with over 1,300 rushing yards that he's a guy that can get the job done on the offensive side of the ball. And so that's just a little game preview. I think it's an interesting matchup in his first meeting of the year, and the Bears have a ton of new faces, 54 total new faces. Last year, I think it was 47. This year, 54. 24 of those new scholarship transfer portal players, 28 total in the portal, and then obviously the rest being filling in with younger players. But that is a ton of new players on a team. Coaches had to get them in, get them ready, get them up to speed in a hurry. And that's what fall camp has been all about. So I'm going to talk to head coach Justin Wilcox right now. Joining me now, head coach Justin Wilcox. And coach, this is a brand new team, a bunch of new faces, bunch of new guys. You've seen them in spring. You got some new faces. You've seen them in fall. Tell me about this team.
Yeah, a lot of new faces. Been very, very competitive. Appreciate their competitiveness. I think that's showed up consistently. I think we've added some speed, which has been great. And now it's time to put all that together and create some on-the-field chemistry and get better each and every time we step out there, practice and games.
Yeah, you talked about competitiveness. One of the things I noticed when I was out there is this team is more confrontational, right? They're ready to go. These guys are in it. You can hear it. It's louder. You can just feel it around practice.
Yeah. It was spirited, I guess would be
That's a good word.
Politically correct way of putting it. But they went after each other during camp, and we're better because of it. And now it's time to, having that competitiveness is part of it. And then it's also knowing what to do, how to do it, knowing when to do it. And, taking all those things, putting it together, and putting a good product out there. So I'm looking forward to finishing this week off the right way and kind of sharpening our axe and going out there and playing for the first time together.
Excellent. So last week, obviously Florida State playing Georgia Tech. This is the new era, ACC football. I know that you guys have watched that, at least saw that game. It's real now. So how does that feel?
Oh, it's exciting. I mean, I bet you felt it too. You turn the TV on and there's games on, and just a different feel out there once those games start getting kicked off. And there's nothing quite like football season. And now we put a ton of time in, and starting all the way back in January. But you do all that for these opportunities that are right in front of us, and that's when you want your best to come out. Not in January or spring ball or summer training or fall camp. Like, your best is needed now. And so I'm looking forward to seeing which guys on the team who can give us their best every Saturday and one Friday.
Excellent. So let's talk about the offense, right? Starting the offensive side of the ball, I'm a quarterback. Tell me what the new offense looks like. Tell me some of the key transfers, the key guys that have come in.
Yeah. So across the offense, we've had a bunch of returners and then brought in some transfer players. The O-line with Morrow, Reimer, who is a transfer, Will McDonald's a transfer, Siowape, Bastion Swinney's going to play a lot there, TJ Sessions, and you'll see Victor Stoffel as well, another tackle's a transfer. Tight end, Corey Daiches is going to play a lot. Corey is a talented player. And then running back room, obviously we know about Jaden, but Kadarius and the Jet, Cardwell, those guys have done a nice job. And then the receiver room is really the one that's going to be interesting to watch. A lot of guys have gotten a lot of reps. We've had a few bumps and bruises there throughout camp, and we're hopeful everybody will be available Saturday. But I'm really anxious to see that group perform. And then the quarterback room. The quarterback room is done a heck of a job, very competitive. I mean, from 1 through 5, those guys can throw the ball pretty dang good, and now it's about putting it all together and moving the offense down the field and putting the ball in the end zone.
So let's talk a little more on the offensive line play. Obviously, the big guys is where we get started. They went out, had one of my former teammates out there, and he looked at it, he's like, man, these guys are blocking. They are looking good. So tell me the difference about that offensive line here in year 2 of Mike Blesh.
Well, I think, another year with Mike, adding some size and in there. Morrow's a big guy. Stoffel's a big guy. Siowape, Bastion put on, he's about 305 now. We challenged Bastion in the offseason. Will McDonald's been really a pleasant surprise. He transferred in, just got here this summer, but he is a competitor now. I mean, he is a tough-ass guy, very competitive, played a lot. He's gonna give us something in there as well. So it's more competition. Matt Wyckoff is in competition to continue to get reps. But, we're looking for size. And then, Coach Blesh did a great job with him last year. Now we got to take another step.
And that's been one of the big things too, right? Having some depth on that offensive line, getting those big guys kind of geared up to move it. And with the offensive scheme that you run, that you have the RPO in there, you have the heavy run game, and you react to box numbers, how much of a difference does that make for you?
It's huge. I mean, experience is obviously talent, experience, all those things matter. So having another year with Coach Blesh and getting those guys really honed in on their techniques and the looks they're going to see and understanding the concept of the run play or the RPO play and where the people are going to be fitting, like that's a huge part of it. And, some of those guys are still young and learning a lot. Nick Morrow is a guy that jumps to mind. I mean, he's a talented young guy, but he's got a lot in front of him. He hasn't played. I mean, he hasn't played in college football yet, and he's going to play a lot. But so he won't be perfect, but I expect to see him improve throughout the season.
Excellent. And then talk some more about that quarterback room. Obviously, yeah. Fernando, Chandler Rogers, we got some guys that can play the position. How have they shown up in camp? What's that competition been like?
Very workmanlike. Fernando, we know he came in last year and gave us a spark and was he's got competitor. He's tough as heck. Can throw the ball down the field. In terms of he had things to work on. He was a freshman quarterback, like any freshman quarterback, as you could appreciate, and having things slow down for him, knowing when to get rid of the ball, that kind of internal clock, protecting the football has been a big thing, for Fernando. And so he's done it. He's made strides. There's no doubt about it. Chandler Rogers played, I think, 2,000 snaps of college football, maybe more. So he's got a lot of experience. He's seen it. He can throw it. He can run it. C.J. Harris has been impressive. C.J. came in this year, and tell you what, just he's played. I can't remember the number of games, but he started a bunch of games. He played in the MAC championship game, took him to a bowl game, and C.J. could throw the ball too. So that room, just in general, I think the level of play has risen, and the competitiveness at practice, and completions and moving the team down the field. It's been noticeable, so we need that to show up on Saturdays.
Absolutely. All right, so now let's switch over to the defensive side of the ball. You got some guys that can run. You've added some people in the transfer portal. You've filled some key spots. Tell me about the defense.
Yep. Up front, you got Nate Burrell, Ricky Correa, Big Aiden from Notre Dame's going to play a lot. TJ Bowler's going to play a lot. So those four guys will rotate a bunch. Then both Derek and Stanley will give us some reps as well. So kind of 6 people for 2 spots. Xavier Carlton and David Reese will start on the edges. Those guys have had really good camps. Ryan McCullough has had a really good camp, one of the most improved players as an edge player. Also, Czech Fall, who is a transfer, has really kind of made a stake for some playing time. The inside backers feel really strongly about with Teddy and Cade. Those are talented guys. Cade has got great instincts for the game. We know he's physical and explosive. Teddy, total professional. I mean, knows everything. For being here for 3 months, I mean, it's been really impressive to watch him assimilate so quickly. Hunter Barth has been one of the most another guy that's improved a ton. So really proud of Hunter. He'll be a backup in there for us and get some reps. And then the DBs, we added a lot of competition there. Marcus Harris, who's one of, if not the fastest guy on the team at corner. Marcus and Noel had really strong camps. Lou Hearns had a good camp. Jair Smith he got dinged up a little, but we're expecting him to continue to grow in that cornerback room. And then the safeties, with Woodson, Crosby, Miles Williams, another guy that's had a really strong camp. There's kind of, Cam Sidney got a lot of reps. He did a good job as well. So a lot more bodies, I think 1 to 10, 1 to 11 in that DB room that have the opportunity to play. And I mean, at the end of it, Mike, as you know, it's okay. There's a lot more guys who are going to get opportunities. And then what do you do with them? Can you put it all together when the lights are on and make the play, the routine play when it counts, or the exceptional play when you have the chance to make it? I think that's going to tell the story.
No doubt about it. And having depth on that defensive line is one thing that, we've had some issues with over the course of the years. How much does it help having those big bodies and guys that can, some depth there?
Yeah, you obviously want to have as many as possible, because you got to play multiple guys, especially in this era of college football with everybody going so fast, playing a lot of reps. And then, we talk about this all the time, like, you got to win a one-on-one. You got to win a one-on-one in the run game. To be a great defense or offense, you got to be able to win some one-on-ones. Run game, can you get off the block and make the tackle? Can you win a one-on-one in coverage, pass rush, all those type of things? That's what shows up. Can you beat a block at inside backer and make a negative play? So it helps having more bodies, and obviously want to keep those guys fresh, but ultimately we need to see production.
Absolutely. All right. And then finally, UC Davis this week.
Yeah.
Tell me about the Aggies. Obviously, Tim Plow out there, you know him very well as a former coach on your staff.
Yeah.
Talk to me about what to expect, right? Because first time back there as a head coach, what do you expect out of him?
Oh, they'll be well coached. There's no doubt about that. They'll be prepared. They'll be confident. They have returning quarterbacks, played a ton. The running back's an excellent player. Defensive end is big, long, hard to block. The boundary safety or weak safety, however you want to call it, is a very productive player. They're going to know exactly what to do. They're going to be in the right spots. They have good football players, and Tim will have those guys ready to play. There's no doubt about it.
Excellent. Well, looking forward to seeing the product out there on Saturday. All these new faces, right? How it comes together as the Cal Bears of 2024. Looking forward to seeing it. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you. Go Bears.
So that's Coach Wilcox' take on this game. Obviously, they're looking forward to seeing what their team is all about, who they have on the field, who they can count on coming into the season. So first game is always a big game. Guys finally get to hit an opposite opponent, right? Opposite jerseys rather than hitting their same guys all the time. The game slows down for quarterbacks when you get into new opponents. They are edgy. They are nervous. They are scared to make mistakes as well. And so it cleans things up for you a lot. And so this first game going in, hopefully, the Bears can establish great quarterback play. Coach Wilcox talked about that whole quarterback room. Obviously, Fernando coming back as a starter from last year. Love Fernando. Had a chance to work with him in the offseason. Got to know him pretty well. And just love him as a player. Chandler Rogers obviously has a ton of college experience there as well. And CJ Harris, of course, as a backup. They've got guys, they've got depth in that room. And I think the quarterback room goes about their business, does a nice job of being professional. So very good overall as a group, knowing each other, working together, being professional, with Coach Blesh and Sterling Gilbert, of course, there as well. So that quarterback room has to crystallize. They have to figure out what they're doing at that starting spot. Coaches haven't let it out. And so I assume that Fernando is going to start going into this game. I would expect that he is as a returning starter. If nobody has edged anybody out, then it will be him. And then as a quarterback, you have to go out and play your best, do what you can, live up to your expectations for yourself. And that's what they should be focusing on right now, what they can do, what they can handle. And that's super important for them. A couple new faces that you're going to look at, and we talked to Coach about a little bit, but Teddy Buchanan, inside linebacker, actually from UC Davis, a very good football player. Coach is very high on him. Good-sized guy coming at 235 pounds. He can run, he can hit, he can cover field. And he's been a guy who has taken a very professional attitude towards it. So just soaked up a ton of information, learned the defense, learned the play calls, learned everything else on there that Coach Sherman wanted him to. And now he's really reacting and playing well at that position. So Teddy Buchanan, I think, is a huge add in there in the middle, along with Kedu Luave. That middle is super solid. And then another guy, Marcus Harris, at that cornerback spot, transferred in from Idaho. Very good football player. He is either the fastest or one of the fastest players on the team. And so here's what that gives you. If you have a guy at the corner spot who can be a lockdown corner, who can shut things down on the outside, then you can change up what you do on defense. It allows you to bring pressures, it allows you to do different things. If you can play man in this day and age of football, then it allows you to put more pressure on the ball and stop the run. And so Bears are hoping that Marcus Harris is a huge piece of that, being able to play lockdown man outside, let the tacklers inside, linebackers inside, and safeties inside tackle the ball. And that way, that's how you shut down the run and the RPO game while also being sound in the passing game. If you can play man, you're in pretty good position. Finally, Aiden Keana-Aina. He is a D-tackle transfer from Notre Dame. Big body inside. Looking forward to seeing what he can do up front for the Bears as well. Defensive line looks like it has more depth. Maybe not the deepest position on the team, but looks like it has more depth than it has going into camp, or into the season in the past. And so that's promising for the Bears. If they can stay healthy up front, boy, that is always a big thing if teams can stay healthy, especially coming out of camp. If they're healthy up front, if they can stay healthy, then it bodes well for the Bears. Like I said, good linebackers inside. You have David Reese on one side at that outside linebacker position, who was a pass rush phenom at the end of last season. So a very good football player on that side in terms of defense. And then inside backers, really good. Xavier Carlton at the other outside backer spot. And you're in really good shape on defense. Offensively, I think the offensive line is much better than it's been in past years. And so that is really a huge bonus for the Bears. Once again, you always have to consider injuries going into the season, who's hurt, who's not. But I think, in particular, Nick Morrow playing that left tackle position is a guy to keep your eye on. He's young, just a redshirt freshman, a guy who has considerable talent, played tight end and defensive end in high school, was a athlete first. He can move. He can do a lot at that tackle position that you want for a guy in space. He's going to have to learn the game. He's young. But as he's going along, he will do that. He'll pick up tricks, techniques. He will see things on film. He will learn and he will grow. And so you hope that he grows up pretty quickly, but I think he's going to be pretty special at that left tackle spot. The other guy to keep an eye on is Corey Dyches. He's a tight end transfer from Maryland, had 49 catches last year for the Terps. He has already been voted preseason All-ACC. It's a really good football player at that tight end spot. And just think you put him opposite Jack Andrews as well. Now you have two guys, a freshman All-American and Jack Andrews last year, and now Corey Dyches. And it changes up what you can do with personnel in the game. If you can get a couple tight ends in there, it gives you run-heavy sets when you need them. But if they're both pass catchers, you can get mismatches in the passing game as well. So that gives you something pretty special if you have two really good tight ends who can work well together, who can work in the run game and in the passing game as well. And then there's a bunch of new receivers that we're going to take a look at this year. So a ton of guys, too many to go down the list and count, but a ton of new receivers at that spot. I'm looking forward to hopefully more production out of that spot, because that was, with injuries and then with guys not able to get off the jam, that's been really one of the sore spots for the last couple of years, is that receiver spot. So hopefully some of these guys coming back, the veterans that we have on staff, can make some noise, and then hopefully some of the new faces can contribute big time as well. And if they can do that, the offense stands a chance. You know you're going to run it, but you have to be effective enough in the passing game to be able to throw the ball down the field. And if the Bears can do that, then they can 1-2 punch people and they can counter when teams try to stack the box. Looking forward to seeing good quarterback play this weekend, hopefully. Looking forward to the Bears making a decision at that quarterback spot, and that our guys play well. And that's the biggest piece of it. Guys come out in the first game. The goal is play well, execute what you do. It's UC Davis. They're going to fight tough, but in the end, depth should be an issue. And then the Bears should be able to, in the end, take it walking away. But you're going to have to fight hard for every minute. They're going to have to be on their game, because UC Davis is going to be well coached with Tim Plow. That's my breakdown. I appreciate you guys watching. And I will catch you next time on another edition of Bear Insider Ultimate Insider. As always, I'm Mike Pawlawski. Go Bears.